Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So we just finished a video. You should have already just finished this video where you filled in what the sine, cosine, and tangent are and how you know which one you have to use and what the ratios are when you set them up. And so now we're going to use the same note paper and talk about how do we actually use this. So like that's what they are, but now let's use them. So again, remember these are the doodle notes. I would recommend that you are coloring and doodling because your brain will remember better as you're listening and as you're taking the notes. If you are doodling, because you're using different sides of your brain and it will make the connections for you. So let's continue. The steps, how we do this. So the first step is to look at your triangle. And here's a triangle. We're going to do this example for example number 1. And we are given this 90-degree angle, so we know it's a right triangle. And we're given this length is 2 feet, and this angle is 45 degrees. So there's our theta, and we have to label our triangle and then decide which ratio we're going to use. So they say step 1 is choose a trig based on labeling known parts in relation to one another. So step 1 is choose a trig ratio. So that would be, are we going to do sine, cosine, or tangent? So choose a trig ratio. So I'll put sine, cosine, or tangent. That's what you're choosing from. Based on labeling the known parts in relation to one another. So I know theta, and I'm going to use theta to label my triangle. So we'll do that in a second. Once we've labeled, step 2 is you're going to write an equation using that ratio, and then you're going to solve your equation. So step 1, we're going to do this over here. Label the sides in relation to theta. So theta's here, so we're going to circle over it on this side. That's my reference angle, is what I was talking about in class on Monday. And so my right angle across, we know every single time that this is your hypotenuse. So this is your hypotenuse. You can write the whole word out, or you can write HYP. You'll see me do most of the time. And my hypotenuse in this video, or this worksheet, has been in pink. So I'm going to actually decorate or highlight this side in pink because this is my hypotenuse. And so I'm going to use that. Last year I had students use the same coloring every time they did anything with trig, and they started knowing the colors combinations, and that's a very good technique to memorize how to do this. So hypotenuse across the right angle, and then this is my theta, so I'm going to take this, and if I go across the triangle, this is my opposite. And so my opposite, I've been using green. I'm going to highlight green, and then that's my opposite length. And then last but not least, if I know opposite and adjacent, or sorry, opposite and hypotenuse, this side that's touching, that is connected to the angle, this is my adjacent. And so I'm going to use, that has been my orange this whole time. So I'm going, oh wait, did I mess up my colors? Uh-oh, I did. So this is actually, this is my opposite has been an orange. Uh-oh, teacher mistake, fix it. Fix your colors, make sure your colors match. Okay, make sure your colors match. This is my opposite. And then my adjacent, I've been using my green. So I'm going to use this, highlight this as green and not as orange. Sorry, you guys, fix the mistake. There you go. And so this is going to be my adjacent side. See, I make mistakes too. And I don't want to redo this whole video. So there you go. Fix the mistake. This is my orange side. I was using opposite as orange all in the other videos. I got confused. I was looking at this, but my theta was up there, which means that this is now my adjacent, whereas this is my opposite. So if you notice, our theta is at the bottom, so our sides have been switched. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually erase this length in here, or these arrows, because I'm going to use a space inside there. Alright, so now I need to know, what do I use? And so I have my theta, And I'm given my length of the 2 feet, which is my opposite. So I know right away I'm going to use opposite, which is my sine or my tangent. I have to decide which one to use. But this tells you what you want to find. So let's go back to the directions. Label the sides. Done. Then, number 2, step 2, choose a trigonometric ratio to find the length of the hypotenuse. That's what I want to try to find. I want to know what is my hypotenuse. Okay, so this is my unknown over here, my hypotenuse. So if I have my opposite and my hypotenuse, I look at my ratios or my SOHCAHTOA. Opposite hypotenuse means I'm going to use sine. So I'm going to do sine of theta. That's what I want. Sine of theta, because I have opposite and I have my hypotenuse and there's my theta. Okay, so I labeled. I know I'm going to use sine. Here's how we do this. The theta is 45 degrees. So I'm going to set up a ratio that says sine of 45 degrees equals the ratio of opposite over our hypotenuse. So my opposite side is 2. And my hypotenuse side is my unknown. So I'm just going to put an x there. So sine of 45 equals 2 over x. And so now I made my ratio. I'm going to make a proportion by making that over 1. And then I'm going to use my cross products. I'm going to multiply. So I now have sine of 45 times x equals 2 times 1, which is 2. And I'm going to solve. I want x by itself. I'm trying to solve for x, so I divide by sine of 45. So x equals, and in the calculator, I'm going to go 2 divided by sine 45. So this is going to take some work. Getting used to know like how to use the calculator. But on the calculators that we have in class, most of the time, you're going to be using sine, cosine, and tangent. And so you can just type this in exactly like that. So go 2 divided by, and then we put sine, and it's going to go sin and then parentheses. So then you put 45, close parentheses, and now it's going to do 2 divided by sine 45. That's my final answer. So my x equals, or is about equal to, I'm going to go to the nearest hundredth, 2.83. So in this picture, my x, my hypotenuse, is about equal to 2.83, and we're talking about feet, so I'm going to say feet. And I'm going to use some math reasoning, and I know the hypotenuse is the longest side. If this is 2, this has to be bigger than 2. So I'm glad that it is bigger than 2. A little bit bigger, but it still is bigger. Okay, so again, what we did, we labeled the triangle. That was step 1. We labeled, right here, label the triangle. Then we knew we were trying to find the hypotenuse, so I was dealing with these 2 sides. And there's my theta, so I was using opposite and hypotenuse. So I had to use the sine function. And then I made my ratio, so sine of 45, because that's what theta equals, is 2 over x. I did my cross products now to solve for what x equals. I wrote out my cross products. This was 2 times 1, so I didn't have to do any work there. And then I divided by sine of 45 to get x by itself. And then on the calculator, one more time I did 2 divided by sine, and then 45, and equals. On your cell phone, you have to do the sign first. You put the number, and then you do the sign, and then you have to do 2 divided by that. So it's not as easy to do on your cell phones. I will show you. You have to have your phone unlocked, and then you need to be in your phone. And so I'll go 45, and then I'll get the sign. So 0.8509 is what I'm going to remember. And then I go 2 divided by 0.8209, I think is what it was, right? I would do it again. I forgot already. Sine of 45, sine 0.8509. So 8509, I'm writing it down so I don't forget. 0.8509. So then I go to divided by 0.8509, and I get 2.35, a little bit off. Oh, I'm in radians, that's why. I should be in degrees. Let's try that again. I was in the wrong mode. If you look down here, this degree, and it says radian there, I should be in degrees. So I'm in degree mode now because it doesn't say anything. Let's try that again. Sine of 45 equals 45 sine gives me a different number, 0.7071. Now to divide it by 0.7071 gives me, that's better, 2.8, and round that to 3. So if on your calculator, make sure that this says nothing there, because now you're in degree mode, and then do the 45, type it in first, then hit sine. Remember this, so write it down somewhere, and then go to divided by, that was 7071, gives you this. Alright, so that was one problem. Learning it takes a lot longer than practicing it. And so now this problem does the inverse, so it does the opposite way. We're not going to focus on this right now. So now you're going to do whatever I asked you to do next in class after finishing your video. So please make sure you always have these notes with you in class, and make sure that you're using them. Use the colors on these problems. It will help you from making mistakes. So have a good day, good night, good evening, afternoon, whatever it is. I'm going to go take my son to baseball. Have a great day. Bye.